Imagine if every word you spoke had the power to rewrite your DNA and redefine your sense of self. I know that sounds like science fiction, but research shows that language can actually affect gene expression and shape our identities in profound ways. Today, we're going to explore how this works and what it means for our lives. Welcome back to Fulfillment Therapy, where we explore the tools and insights to help you break free from the rut and find more enthusiasm and passion for life. I'm your host, Kendra Nielsen, and today we're going to talk about something incredibly powerful that I am pretty passionate about: the words we use. Words have the ability to shape our thoughts, our emotions, our actions, as well as influence those around us. So let's start with a story that's going to illustrate this pretty well. I want you to imagine my client who is struggling to connect to her teenage daughter. And one day she realized that her constant criticism wasn't only hurting her daughter, but it was also reinforcing that negative self talk with herself. She decided to change her approach over time by using positive affirmations and encouraging words in a more intentional way. But here's the interesting part: she didn't see immediate results. In fact, things actually seemed to get worse before they got better, which might surprise you. And I want to come back to this story in a few minutes. Very quickly, I just want to remind you that you can find us on social media, Instagram and Facebook. On Instagram, we're at Fulfillment Therapy. And on Facebook, you can just search Fulfillment Therapy and you can connect with like minded individuals seeking to improve their mental health and wellness. So check us out there. Now, back to the power of words. I want to talk about how they create and destroy. So, words are not just sounds, but they truly do have that power to create and destroy. And I know we know that on a smaller level, but have we thought about it much more beyond that? If you happen to read the scriptures, you'll know that God is often referred to as the great I am. And I was always interested by that title and didn't really understand what it meant until recently. And I'm sure there's many layers to that even still. But to me, this shows that he understood the power of identity and creation through words. This is deeply connected to how we use our words to shape our reality. Robin Sharma talked about this, and he said, words can inspire and words can destroy. Choose yours well. For example, when we use positive words with our kids, we build their confidence and their self-esteem. We know this. On the other hand, negative words can lead to anxiety and self-doubt. What about with your spouse? What words haunt you that you've spoken to your spouse or your family members that you didn't really mean, especially in the heat of the moment? And maybe you realize that with that interaction, instead of building something, you reinforced this fear or this weakness that they have and sometimes struggle with. And perhaps you reinforced that belief that their weakness is who they are instead of something they sometimes struggle with. Take away the shame for a minute. This is simply exploring it. And we often do the same thing for ourselves. Now, let's talk about the neuroscience of it. I love learning about neuroscience and understanding how and why the brain works. Well, from a neuroscience perspective, neuroscience also shows that words affect us deeply. Those negative words release the stress and anxiety inducing hormones, and positive words stimulate that frontal lobe and encourage that action and that change. Dr. Andrew Newberg and Mark Robert Waldman wrote the book, Words Can Change Your Brain. And in it, they said this: a single word has the power to influence the expression of genes that regulate physical and emotional stress. Doesn't that sound crazy? It really does sound like science fiction, but research is showing that our thoughts and emotions really can influence our gene expression. For example, speaking more positively to your family and using those positive affirmations really does reduce stress levels and improves their mental health. For a lot of us, this might make sense, but now we're able to see that in a lab. Now, I'm sure you've heard about the law of attraction before, but the premise of this is that our thoughts and our words attract similar things into our lives. So when we focus on positive things, we create this magnetic desire that can manifest into reality. Now, that might sound a little woo-woo for some of you, but It is being shown again in a lab. Dr. Tara Swart better explains what the law of attraction is. She said, it's the way we create relationships, situations, and material things in our lives as a direct consequence of the way we think. So, for example, when we express gratitude, we attract more positivity into our lives. And on the other side, when we're more critical or resentful, we attract more things to criticize and resent. Now, let's talk about how words are a barrier to growth. So sometimes our words can prevent others from growing and from changing. When we criticize or belittle, like maybe your sibling or your grandpa, whoever it might be, your neighbor, we reinforce those negative patterns and limit their potential. Yehunda Berg said, words have energy and power with the ability to help, to heal, to hinder, to hurt, to harm, to humiliate, and to humble. For example, instead of saying, I'll never be good at this, we can say, I'm not good at this yet. This is something I do a lot with my kids. You don't like this food yet. Or I'm not good at pickleball. I'm still learning pickleball. I'm getting better at pickleball. When we say I have anxiety or I am depressed, we are over identifying with it and making it our reality or making it somebody else's reality. Saying, I'm so selfish or I'm lazy or you're lazy. We can switch it to something that can be honest without creating that belief that forms someone's identity or reinforces an identity for ourselves that we don't want, that doesn't serve us. Instead, it could still be honest, like saying, sometimes I feel anxious, or I'm feeling a little anxious right now, like it's a temporary thing, or I'm feeling overwhelmed right now. Again, it's temporary, not a perpetual state of being. I know I talk about positive ripples a lot, but it is such a beautiful concept and something that bears repeating many times. If we want to create more positive experiences, it's important that we are mindful with the words that we use. We can simply start by validating other people's viewpoints more regularly or using wholesome words to build people up. Tony Robbins said, words can not only create emotions, they create actions. And from our actions flow the results of our lives. Isn't that so well said? Our words create emotions, and then they create actions, and from our actions flow the results. So words create results. So keep that in mind when you're using different words in your life, especially today as this is fresh in your mind. Pearl Strachan-Hurd said, handle them carefully, for words have more power than atom bombs. That is a bold statement, but can it be true? Can words have more power than atom bombs? Again, going back to the scriptures and God saying he's the great I am. I am a what? Whatever he is putting out there, what he says that he is, because words hold so much power. What do we say we are? I am what? What do we say our children are? What do we think our spouse is? What about our neighbors and our friends? And are we holding them hostage to something lesser because of the words that we use? When we choose our words carefully, we can inspire others to be their best selves and become more. And we can create that ripple effect of positivity. Now, we all have room to grow, myself included. But when I learn about the science and what it does to our brain, I'm reminded how important this is. Now, I want to go back to the story of my client. Remember how things got worse for a while? She realized that changing her words wasn't just about her daughter. It was also about breaking her own negative thought patterns. It it did take time, but eventually both she and her daughter began to flourish. Again, it took some time. It took some changing, but they really did start to improve. In this example and many more that I can tell you, it shows that our words have the power not only to transform others, but to transform ourselves as well in that process. My friends, words really do matter. They carry so much more power than we realize. And I think we only understand a tiny portion of that. So I just want to recap some of those points so that you can remember these things as you go and maximize your life fulfillment. First and foremost, words have the power to create or destroy. They can build confidence or reinforce those negative patterns. Secondly, neuroscience supports the impact of words. Positive words stimulate positive brain activity, while negative words increase that stress and that dis-ease in our body, or that negative result that ultimately leads to health problems too. And the third point is the law of attraction connects words to reality. So when we focus on positive words, that manifests a more positive outcome. The fourth point I want to remind you of is that a mindful word choice is crucial. Use words that lift and inspire instead of those that create that negative belief in other people that may even take decades for them to work through, if they ever do. It can instill a fear in them that they are not enough. And I'm not putting that fully on you, but if you're reinforcing that, you are a destroyer in that process instead of a creator, somebody that can heal. So instead of being a healer or a creator, you're putting more energy into tearing something down instead of building it up. And last but not least, we create those positive ripples when we choose our words carefully. We can inspire others and create a more positive environment. I know we all have examples of this in our life where we saw how simple words or simple actions created something beautiful and spread out those amazing ripples in just some seemingly small thing that was done. And the opposite is also true. My friends, I pray that you will move forward with greater awareness of the words that you use in your life, that you will be the creator you were meant to become. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It just means that you will course correct and you will remember to make amends when you use the words that destroy or words that tear down. I believe in you, and I know that with practice, we can all get a bit better. Don't forget to check out our courses on fulfillmenttherapy.org. And if you are interested in becoming an intern and having access to our courses and a lot of the other perks that come from joining our team, you can email us at fulfillmenttherapy.org. As always, I'll see you back here every Monday and Thursday with new episodes. Until then, my friends. Hey friends, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, chances are someone else would too. Would you take 30 seconds to share this with a friend who's looking for greater family fulfillment? And while you're sharing, tell me what you think about the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. It refuels me when I hear this podcast is helping you. No matter what your house or your hair looks like, I'll meet you back here every Monday and Thursday morning for more episodes. Until then.